Hello YouTube, I'm doing a review of the OutEquip Summit 2 12 volt air conditioning unit for RVs. I've got it installed on my 23-foot toy hauler. I watched a lot of installation and review videos before I undertook installation myself, and I just want to cover a few facts that I'd never heard prior to receiving the unit and attempting the installation myself. This is being filmed in March of 2026, and there's been a lot of improvements by the company. The first of which is you can run the power cables either on the roof, as I've shown here, or you can feed them down through the opening where you insert the AC unit. In this particular case, I replaced a 14-inch by 14-inch vent, and that's where you see the AC unit currently positioned. When you get the unit out of the box, you'll notice that the power wires are in a plastic wire loom. I didn't find that conducive to an exterior installation, so I used a 3/4-inch conduit to encase the power cables. They are 6-gauge cables, and they fit just fine in a 3/4-inch conduit. I'm going to try to turn on the unit so you can hear the noise level on the exterior. Overall, the unit's very quiet, both inside and out. All right, you can hear the unit starting to start. I think outside right now it's about 85 degrees, and I think I have it set for 80 degrees inside the RV. It's probably hard to gauge the noise, but it's definitely quieter than the existing unit. In my case, I did leave the existing unit on. It was functioning fine, and it's always good to have duplicate means of climate control. One thing I'll mention before I go inside is some of the reviews I watched prior to my installation indicated there was no good seal provided for the 14 by 14-inch hole. As of March 2026, OutEquip is including a square 14-inch by 14-inch foam seal with the kit. I don't think that was previously done. So when you get the kit, if you're planning on replacing an existing vent, you'll find that the seal is now included. Very convenient. Seconds after I shut off the last clip of the video, the unit powered down a little bit now. The initial kick on is louder than just the idle, if you will, and it's very quiet. I don't even know if you'd be able to hear it once I get down off the ladder next to the camper here. I already have solar on my rooftop, as you can see, so I just used the same opening for the power cables that I have for the solar cables feeding down through the roof. In my case, I think it's a 5-inch square box that I just got from Home Depot, and I just used some die-core to seal everything after I ran the wires down through. I just affixed the conduit to the roof with some Eternabond tape, and so far so good. Okay, I'm inside the camper now. As I told you, the unit is set to 80 degrees. Looks like the fan level is on high currently. It will moderate the temperature, so once it reaches 80 degrees in here, it'll just recirculate the air or turn down the fan. You see the 4 vents. These are all movable, so you can direct the air however you see fit. It does have a light. I'll see if I can grab the remote. These do light up. They don't provide a whole lot of light, but it is maybe a night light or something. I had to buy the duct extension kit, which was $48, because the roof on our toy hauler is about 5.5 inches thick, and without that you won't be able to connect the 2 vent pieces. The control panel has a piece of vent on it that would normally fit into the rooftop AC unit vent, but because of the 5.5-inch width of our roof, they make a kit that extends between those 2 halves and seals up with no leaks. That was a little bit tricky. The kit is not engineered that well, and I had to make some cuts to the duct extension in order to get it to work. Overall, it was a fairly simple installation. There's just 3 plugs, one for the temperature sensor and 2 others that connect the roof mounted unit to the control panel here. This trim is obviously included, and that works real nice to seal off and give a professional look on the ceiling. There's a remote control included with the Summit 2 kit. Here's some of the features it has. I mentioned the light previously. That's the light. The other thing that's kind of handy is it will show the voltage of your battery system on the unit. So if you hit the voltage, it will show, in this case, we're currently sitting at 12.9. All right, I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions about the cooling ability of the unit. Got my laser thermometer here. You can see the air coming out is pretty cold right now. I'd say it's highly dependent on your camper size, the insulation, obviously the outside temperature, but generally speaking, it's done a good job cooling this 23-foot toy hauler. We've got 300 amp hours of lithium iron phosphate battery, and I ran the unit for a couple hours yesterday. It was pretty hot outside, about 95, and I was able to keep it at 80 degrees in here without using a whole lot of power. We're sitting at about 13.1 volts, and I started at maybe 13.3 volts when I turned on the unit yesterday. So it ran for a couple hours just on the battery at 80 degrees and kept it very comfortable in here. I've got an email into customer service with OutEquip about the discrepancy in the temperature. Obviously it's in Celsius on the remote and it's in Fahrenheit on the unit itself. I'm not sure why those aren't matching up currently, but there's got to be an easy way to change it on the remote also. Along those lines, OutEquip customer service has been awesome. They literally respond to emails in 6 to 8 hours. I think they may be located in a different country, obviously in a different time zone, because I get late night emails, but they're very responsive. Kevin in particular has been responding to my emails, and he's been super helpful. Would I buy it again? As of this point, definitely yes. It's a great product. I'm looking forward to using it in off-grid situations, so we can use batteries and solar to provide air conditioning as opposed to running the onboard generator and the big 13.5K unit. I mentioned it on the outside. The unit is way quieter on the roof than the old style units, and the inside is also true. You can carry on a conversation very easy. Again, the fan speed now is on its highest, but once it cools down in here, it'll drop to a lower fan speed. And then it's just, all right, I'm going to wrap up this video, and I just want to kind of summarize the things that I learned doing the installation that I didn't know about from any other videos online. Obviously, there's a lot of good reviews. Mine's very amateur. But the first thing I would say is you can run the lines, the power lines, inside your RV if you want. For me, that was going to be far more difficult, just the way the roof is constructed, and this is an existing RV. If you were doing a new build, that might be an option for you. If you're going to run the lines on the roof of your RV, I would put it in conduit. I wouldn't use that casing, the plastic casing, the wire loom that they include with the unit itself. Second, if you're installing on a fairly standard RV as opposed to like a van or maybe a truck camper, take into account the fact that you might need the duct extension kit that provides longer screws and that actual duct extender that I talked about. I was a little disappointed with that kit because I had to make modifications. It wasn't just easy plug and play, but if you've got some tools and a little bit of know-how, it's fairly simple to overcome. All right, I hope somebody has learned something from this video. I wish I had filmed as I was doing the install. I really didn't plan on making a YouTube video about this. There's tons of them out there, but there's been updates and the company's made improvements. Even since 6 months or a year ago when a lot of the videos were made that I watched prior to my own attempted installation here. The main thing for me is that 14-inch by 14-inch square foam gasket for the roof was included. I fully expected to buy one. In fact, I followed a link and it had in my Amazon cart from a video that I had watched on YouTube. Turned out you don't need it. So the wiring options are definitely available to you as far as running inside or outside. That was one thing that was coming up in videos just 6 months or a year ago, where people were complaining that they couldn't run the wires inside, and that's certainly a possibility There's actually 3 different options now for running the wires. I've only had the unit for a couple days now, but so far so good. I really like it. I would definitely recommend it to friends. It's a good unit, definitely seems to work well. If there's any issues that I encounter, I'll film an update in the future, so stay tuned. Thanks.